Hey everybody, Jeff here. In this video, I'm going to try something different. I'm going to walk you through a drawing that I just recently did. It actually is one of my favorite drawings. Now, when I was drawing it, I didn't talk while I was drawing, so I couldn't just share the video with you in real time. However, it did turn out so nice, at least in my opinion. I like the way it turned out, that I know a lot of people would want to see how it was done, how it came to pass, so to speak. So instead of me showing you a 4-hour video of me just drawing in silence, I figure I would speed it up. I shorten the video down, it's only 1 hour long, so it's 4 times the speed. So instead of it being a 4-hour video, it's a 1-hour video. And I'm going to talk over it and kind of share my thoughts with you of what I was thinking while I was drawing it, the techniques I was using, and that way, for those of you that like to draw and want to see how it's done, or just see how this picture came to be, well, this video is going to be for you. Now, for me personally, on my own spare time, I love videos like this. I love watching people draw. I love seeing how the drawings start and how they finish and all that stuff. So this is why I'm doing a video like this. If you like this video, please let me know in the comments. If you would rather all the videos be like this, me talking over a sped up version, let me know. But if you prefer me to just, if you'd rather watch the 4-hour version, like a long real-time version, let me know that too. I want to know which one is best, a long version or this 4 times sped up version with me talking over it. So let me know. And with that being said, let's get on to the video. All right, so here I'm starting out. I'm trying to determine the size of the picture. I don't know how big I want it on the paper, so I'll use my fingers sometimes as a reference. And in this particular spot, what I ended up doing is I thought I would try and draw the outline of the head first, just so I can lay it out on the paper. So you could see right here, I kind of drew the outside of the head and then possibly the inside where the hair is. And I want to get the angle of the face, if there's a tilt. So you'll see here, I'm trying to estimate where her brow is going to be, where her nose is going to be, and where her chin's going to be. And in a second, I kind of erase all this because this is just an initial thing to put down for me to get an idea. And you can kind of see here, it looks like you could start to see the shape of the head starting to take place. But as I start to lay down features, I soon discover that I don't like that shape, and I'll just start to erase it, and I'm going to start focusing on the eyes. And one of the reasons why I picked this drawing was I wanted to draw someone with glasses, and glasses are always hard for me. So here you can see I'm just measuring out where I'm guessing the eyes are going to be. And I'll use my pencil and lay it on the paper like that to measure. And so, yeah, I'm just setting down the eyes where the eyes are going to be, and not even worrying about the glasses at this point. I figured in this particular drawing, let me do the eyes and anchor everything off of that. And see, as you can see, a lot of times I do a lot of erasing because things just don't look right. So redrawing the eyes, and I think that's kind of my style at this point when it comes to drawing, is I'll just pick a feature and start there and then base everything else off of it. So since I'm starting with that eye, I'm going to start drawing little things around the eye, little anchor points that I see. So hopefully you can follow along with the reference picture, and you can kind of see what I'm seeing at the time of my drawing. You could see I'm starting to block out where the rim of the eyeglasses are. And see, this is where I start erasing all that stuff that I did in the beginning, because I'm like, you know what? Let me just work off the eye. Let me not work off the larger picture. And some people, they'll draw the larger picture and they'll do circles and they'll lay out lines and stuff. Me, I just kind of go in the moment, see what it feels like. So as you can see here, I'm just anchoring that eye in. I'm just trying to lock down where the glasses are. And then from there, I can jump over to the other eye and start there. So you can see I'm doing this the second eye right there because I already marked out those where the dots were. I marked out where the eye was going to start and where the eye was going to end. And I should also say, you know, at this point when I'm drawing, my confidence level is like very low because I don't know how it's going to turn out. I have no idea if it's going to look good, but I just go with it. I just say, okay, let me just see what happens. Let me just see what I can do with this. So here I am trying to just carry the glasses over to the other side. You know, since I got the one side of the glasses, now I can kind of use that information and go, okay, it's going to be about the same on the other side. So the width of the glasses should be about the same of the other side. And I know coming up here, I do some erasing because I kind of drew the glasses the wrong size. The side that I'm on right now, I want to say I made that side a little bit bigger. You can kind of see it right now. The right side that I'm drawing right here is a little bit smaller than the left side. And I do correct it a little bit later as I go. So yeah, this is, as you can see, hopefully I picked this speed of video because it's 4 times as fast. Imagine if this was 4 times as slow. I mean, you'd be watching 4 hours right now. So hopefully this video is going to be a good learning point for those of you that watch my stuff for the art. You could see it's fast enough to speed up the time, but it's not too fast where you can't see what I'm doing. So let me know below. Again, just leave me a comment. Let me know, how is this speed for you guys? Is it working out? Is this kind of video going to be helpful to you? Do I bother doing this for my next drawing videos, or do I just give you a big time lapse and just have no talking and just do it? I want to know. So here I'm looking, I'm trying to make, this is where I'm starting to see that the glasses are a little bit off. And you'll see I lay my pencil up against the paper to measure. And see, I'm trying to determine, okay, the left side was too big, so I'm shortening it. Can't English. I shortened it, so I'm trying to get it down. At this point, I'm just eyeballing it, seeing if it looks good, checking the height, checking the widths. I do that a lot. I'll lay my pencil on the paper, or I'll do the comparative measurement where you can't see it here, but you know, that's where you hold the pencil up, close one eye, hold it up to the image, and then look up at the reference and back and forth, and you can kind of measure and see using your pencil how certain distances measure. So here I'm mapping in the nose, and usually what I do is I get the outside corners first and I kind of triangulate that in. That's where you can kind of see those little triangle lines pointing down. So I like that concept. Start with the eyes, if possible, start with the eyes, and then use the eyes to lock in the nose. And so that's what I'm doing here. And the nose actually turned out really good on this drawing. It actually looks 3-dimensional. It's got texture and shadow to it. And it's another reason why I'm doing this video, is I just liked how the drawing turned out. So you can see I'm measuring the eyes, the width of the eyes. I'll use that as a measurement. So I'll see how wide are the eyes, take the width measurement, and then measure it to see, is it 1 eye length down? Is it 2 eyes lengths down? You know, so you just measure things, and then based on those measurements, calculate where these other features are. And another cool thing about this drawing, as you can see, is that almost half her face is kind of in shadow. So I kind of draw that line down the nose, and that's just telling my brain, okay, this side's going to be in shadow, this side over here is going to be light. So I'm taking a width. See, again, I'm measuring, okay, how far is that space from the eye to the glasses based on the nose? And it goes about halfway to the nose. You know, the nostril to the middle of the nose is about the same distance as the eye to the edge of the glasses. And a lot of drawing is like that. You're going to just be doing a lot of comparative measurements. You're measuring and seeing, is this equal that? So if you're like me, I'm not super imaginative. I'm very critical in my thinking, very logical. So I draw very logically. I use measurements, eyeballing measurements. I don't use rulers or anything like that, but I'll lay something down. I'll check the width. How does that width, how wide is the nose? Is it the width of an eye? Is it the width of two eyes? Oh, okay. So it's a 1-to-2 ratio or whatever it is. And I use that information to lay down these other parts of the video. And see, I've already erased the eyeglasses how many times? Like 3 or 4 times. See, there I am measuring what's the width of the eyeglasses? Is it the same as the nose? So I took a thing of the nose, compared it to the eyeglasses, and it looked good, so I left it. This is one of my favorite parts too of drawing, is the layout, this block layout, just laying it down almost like an unfinished coloring book. You're just laying down lines. And that's sort of like a 2-part process for me, the layout part and then the shading part. And this part usually takes me about an hour at this point of my artistic development. It takes me about an hour to lay out the face or whatever I'm drawing. So even though this is sped up, you got to figure this normally takes me about an hour to do the whole face. Just mapping in the features. Here I'm doing a little rhythm of the forehead. If you look at the picture, there's a little rhythm of the forehead, and you could see where the shading is on the one side. So I'm kind of marking that in. And now I'm going down to the mouth. So I'm taking a measurement, trying to find out where the corners of the mouth are. So, it's basically, you look at the eyes and you go, okay, they're here. And then I'm taking an angle off the nose and seeing, okay, and that's all my drawing is. It's taking points and angles. So to find a point, you need, what's the word I'm looking for? To find where something starts, you need 2 points to intersect. So you find where the mouth starts, and then how far out you go is the angle from the nose. So that's why you see those little triangles right there. So here I'm just doing the inner lip part. I'm not doing the upper lip or the lower lip. I'm just trying to calculate the inner lip of the smile. Now this is where the upper lips I start to fill in. And you can see it kind of curves, in my head when I'm doing this. I'm trying to keep in mind that the mouth is 3-dimensional. It's almost like if you take a ping pong or a tennis ball and cut a tennis ball in half, you got that curve, and put that over your face. So if you look here, you can kind of almost see the curve of the mouth, like if there was a tennis ball right there on the muzzle, and it kind of curves up and down. You want to keep that in mind when you're drawing, that the face has these peaks and valleys. All right, so I'm just focusing here on the mouth. I don't think I do too much more on it. Taking a measurement of the eye, comparing it. Oh, so I want to make sure, did I go too low on the mouth? Is there too much space between the nose and the upper lip? So I took a measurement of the eye, and I compared the width of the eye to that space right there, and it looked like it was okay. So again, you're going to do that a lot in your drawing. You're going to take a measurement of something you've already established. I've established that eye is how I want it. So I'll use that eye a lot in my measurements to see, you know, distances and whatnot. So here I'm trying to lock in the width of the face and where the jaw starts to turn down. I'll probably take a measurement of the chin pretty soon to see, did I leave too much space between the bottom lip and the chin? You know, at this point, I don't know, but I'm just eyeballing it. I'm just guessing. And this is, you know, you can start to see the faces coming to life now. You're starting to lock it in. You're drawing the dimensions around it and the hair, and that's when it really starts. That's when you really start seeing, okay, did I do good? Does it look like a face? Does it look like the person? All right, so if I remember correctly, at this point, I'm liking the way it's turning out. I haven't done a whole lot of erasing, which is always good for me. And I'm going to be mapping out little shadow features here, where the shadows start. There's these shadow things on the face. So sometimes if I see a shadow, I'll just lightly outline around it, just to give my brain an idea of where, when I come to shade it in, where I'm going to start dropping a lot of the values. It's kind of cool to watch it over again like this, because I feel like I'm drawing it all over again. So here's the hair. I'm just kind of mapping in some shadow shapes and the flow of the hair. Not detailed at all at this point. I don't even think I do a lot of hair at this point. I think I'm just trying to get the overall shape of the head. Because again, this is the layout stage, the unfinished coloring book stage. So now I'm checking the width, find out where the ear is at. This was such a fun drawing. I really like the way this one turned out. Again, I drew it because of the glasses. See there, I'm checking the width. I just used the width of the glasses as a guide. Okay, based on the width, did I make the forehead too high? No, so I'm just taking measurements. That's all I'm doing. I'm holding my pencil up, taking measurements. And at this point, I'm pretty confident that it's locked in. I'm pretty confident. The width is fine. The head's fine. I'm double checking the glasses, making sure the glasses are still okay. You know, this is still the stage you can erase. You can adjust things. There was a lot of detail within the glasses, because the glasses create this magnified look, and there's reflective light. And so that was really cool about this picture, is that I try to capture, you know, I wanted you to look at this picture and make it feel like she was outside in the sun with wind blowing through her hair. And if I was able to do that successfully, then I felt it was a good drawing. So let's see, I'm trying to establish where the chin starts. You know, the chin kind of bulges a little bit, so I'm just establishing that point, making minor corrections, checking the width. Now I'm establishing where the ear is and trying to pencil out the ear as best I can. I'm not that great with ears. And I'm constantly looking at the picture. So even though you can't see it, you know, it's not like I'm making any of this up. I'm actually looking a lot up at the picture, back at the drawing, up at the picture, back at the drawing. And I'm just trying to copy everything that I see. So this is where I'm trying to establish that side of the head. How far does the hair go out? You know, just mapping in little things that I see. You know, inside the hair, you have dark spots, dark patches where it's thicker. So I'll kind of mark those out, outline them a little bit. And I think pretty soon I'm going to start going down to the neck, if I remember correctly. Because at this, I don't have a whole lot left of the face that I'm seeing. So you see, I'm trying to establish where the neck starts. Because at this point, I'm happy with the face. I'm happy with how it looks. There's not a lot of detail on it, but there's enough where I can see the form. So, okay, let me move on to the rest. How far down do I want to go? So see, I'm seeing how long the neck is. And it's like, okay, from the chin to the nose, that was the same length as the neck. So you'll see me, whenever I lay that pencil down on the paper, I'm just measuring things. Things I've already established. I've already locked in the face. I'm happy with how it looks, so I can feel confident using that as a measurement. Measure anything I want on the face. I like how it looks, so okay, let me see how wide the nose is and compare that to the neck. Let me see how wide the face is and compare that to the chin. You know, once you've locked in on something, feel free to use it as a measurement for the rest of your drawing. This is where I'm sort of just roughly blocking in her outfit. I don't put a lot of detail here because you don't want the focus to be, you know, on what she's wearing. So I'm not going to put a whole lot of attention into anything below the neck. But you want it to still look good. You know, you still want it to be a decent thing. So it looks like I'm looking back at the glasses and I'm just trying to make sure it's even across the bottom. I must have saw something I didn't like. It must have been not accurate enough for me. All right, so corrected the lenses a little bit. And you'll see I jump around all the time. So now I'm just deciding, oh, let me just add some stuff into the eyes, you know. Let me just add a few things. I don't think I start shading here yet, but for some reason my brain told me, let me just go back to the eyes. That's another cool thing about drawing for me is it's funny to see how my brain works. You know, you would think you would start with one area and just focus on that. But no, I end up starting one area, and next thing I know, I jump over here, and then I go back up, and I'm all over the place. Now here I'm trying to decide how much of the outfit am I going to do, and I'm like, not a whole lot. You see I kind of stop at the shoulder there. I want to get the collar of her jacket, so I do focus a little bit on the collar, just trying to see how far does it come out. But it's not accurate. It's not like I took serious measurements here, because I knew in the back of my head this is not the focal point of the picture. I just want to lay enough detail out to where it gives you, you know, I don't want to be a floating head, you know. I want it to be something that looks like it's from a person. So that's why I draw a little bit of the outfit. So here I'm mapping out shadows. So if you see on the reference picture, there's that line, kind of like a shadow line that comes down. And so I'm lightly drawing the lines. On the neck, I'm lightly drawing where it's going to be darker. And then I'm going to start shading pretty soon, which is always fun, because that's when it really comes to life. Now, again, if you guys have any questions, since this is a sped up video, if you go, hey, how come you did this, or how do you do that, or you know, at 25 minutes into the video you did this, why did you do that? If you have any questions at all, just leave me a comment, let me know. And let me know if you like this format. Again, if you like this sped up commentary, do you like that better than the real-time commentary where this would be a 4-hour video? Again, I watch 4-hour drawing videos. I love them. I'll watch them over the course of a couple days. Sometimes it's not all one sitting. So if you like long commentary, let me know. Otherwise, maybe I'll just do these sped up 1-hour version videos. If you think they're of value. So I'm starting to I think I'm starting to lock in the shading here. And that's why I was drawing those lines, is I'm starting to tell myself, okay, make sure you map out where it is, because when you start shading, you might lose some of these lines. So use these lines as a reference. Yeah, I really like how that layout turned. So at this point, I'm thinking to myself, okay, am I done? Do I start shading? And you could tell because I'm not adding a whole lot. I'm not laying down a whole lot of new lines here. I'm just kind of going over little lines that I've done. So here I'm going to start shading. I already know at this point I can't really add any more features. So let's just work with what we got, start shading. And this is the fun part. This is where it's like coloring. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of go over the drawing and lay down roughly the same shade. I'm not going to go too dark. I'm not going too light. I'm just going to go through and say what has shadow, what has darkness on it, what has value, you know, and I'm going to just lay down an initial value. Now this so far, I forgot to even mention it, this is all with an HB pencil. An HB pencil is just a basic pencil. You can see it right there, HB. And this is the whole drawing so far. It's just been one pencil. And I'm just going to go through and kind of where I've marked out my lines before, where I know there's shadow, you're going to start seeing me fill those in. I'll probably do the eyes here in a second. It looks like I'm kind of doing the nose first. And see, like right now, the darkness of the nostrils is about the darkness of the glasses. The eyes are going to be about the same. I'm just laying down like an initial value. And later, when I do more passes and I go over it, I'll start darkening in other areas. But this is one of my favorite parts. This is where like the eye starts really coming to life. And it's like, wow, now it doesn't look like a coloring book. Now it starts looking like a real eye starting to look back at me. And it's such a cool feeling when you're drawing. When you're looking at this thing that you've laid on the paper and all of a sudden it's looking back at you. It's like, whoa, when did you get here? You know? And you can see that cool shadow that's underneath the eye right there. That little strip, that was pretty neat. And I'm just lightly going over things. I'm just, use side of my pencil, lightly adding some shades here, looking up at the reference picture as always. Usually that part of the eye is always going to be a little darker because it's sunk into the head. So I'll just shade over it, give it some more depth. Here I'm adding some more into the eyes, so the eye's starting to look like a real eyeball now. Working on the glasses a little, obviously. And you'll see me, I'll start jumping all over the place here because it's just whatever my brain spots. I remember thinking, though, I really want to try and lock in this eye. If I lock in this eye, and feel good about it, then it gives me energy to keep going on to the rest of the picture. So I'm really taking my time here, really trying to focus in on making that eye as real as possible. Yeah, it's so neat. So neat to see it look back at you like that. You guys get like that? You guys, you artists out there that draw pictures. Is that something you do? Do you see it, your own drawing come to life, and all of a sudden it's like, whoa, like I just created that. That's pretty cool. So it looks like I'm trying to lock in that side of the face. One of the hardest parts is just knowing the anatomy of the face and spotting the shadows, looking at the picture and spotting where is it darker, where is it lighter. And right there on that crease of her smile line, you might notice it's a little bit darker because it's being pulled back into the face. As she's smiling, this part of the face is going in, like you can see the shadow on mine because of that. I have a light. But why is that dark right there? Because it's going into the face. So on hers, you know, I really shaded that part in a little heavier because it's giving the illusion that it's going back into the face. One of the cool things about this drawing too that I really liked was the glasses. I wanted to make it look like the glasses were on the face, not part of the face. So there's some cool shadows and stuff that you'll see that I end up adding that make it look like it's sitting on the face. You know, that the eyes are actually back behind the glasses and not flat with the glasses. Now here I'm shading the nose. Again, that one side of the face, you could tell in the picture, it's away from the light. So it's darker. There's more shadows on that side. So again, I'm adding those shadows, making sure that that side of the nose is darker than the other side. Adding the shadow right there at that nostril and leading up to the glasses. That's going to make the glasses start to appear on the face because it's creating a shadow. It's also going to put the nose back a little bit and make it more three-dimensional. Now right there, I'm drawing a shadow for the glasses. That little line that you just saw me draw, right here, I'm actually focusing on it. This is the shadow of the glasses on the face. It's little touches like that that really make it come to life. And again, this is all an HB pencil. I'm not doing any just one pencil at this point. I do go into some darker pencils later. If I remember, I'll try and point out when I do that. But lately with my drawing, it's basically been only 1 to 3 pencils that I've been using. So here, just turning my pencil on the side, laying some value in. I'll start to do value on the other side of the forehead pretty soon, where it's actually darker. Focusing on where the light is. You know, the light's on that one side of her face, so I know this is lighter, all this is darker. You can kind of see it on my face in this picture. But, you know, when you have light on one side, you just know the other side's darker and you can add more shading to it. So it looks like I'm focused most on this side of the face before I move on to the other side. I got a paper down on my hand just so I don't kind of smear all the graphite off the drawing that I've laid down. Yeah, this is such a cool picture to draw. All right, so now it looks like I'm going to start hitting that eye, bringing that eye to life. Again, it's always cool when all of a sudden an eye takes shape and it's like, okay, now it's a real person. Now it's not just a drawing. It's actually a real person looking at me. And I'm not laying down a whole lot of new stuff. Again, we did that in the layout, right? This is all just adding shading. That's all it is. All the lines are already there. This is just shading now. It's looking at the reference picture, seeing how dark is this eye? How dark is the nostril? How dark is it to the glasses? Is the eye darker than the glasses? You know, and now you just start adding different values. See, now the glass, look at the glasses for the eye that I'm working on right now. That side, those glasses look much lighter than the other eye I finished. So those are all little things I'm going to notice. I'm going to say, okay, I need to make the glasses darker because they don't match the other side. And I'll start shading that in. And I'm working on it, working on the glasses, trying to establish the lines. Adding the shading. Again, I'm just shading the whole eye like that because I know that side's going to be darker. It's away from the light. And that side of the forehead is going to be darker than the front of the forehead. So you'll see I do this side, how it looks a little bit darker than the middle. Yeah, this part's always cool. I can just sit here and watch this. It's like, to me, it's fascinating. It's like I drew it, but it's hard. It's even hard for my brain to wrap around that I drew it. So I'm sitting here watching it with you guys, like it's new to me too. I almost feel like I can learn from this too, just watching it and seeing how I did all this stuff. And again, if you have questions, let me know. I'm not really talking too much about techniques because to me, it's almost self-explanatory. I'm just adding shadows. I'm just seeing what looks darker and I'm just shading over it. I'm not doing anything special with my pencil. There's nothing secret that I'm doing. You know, it's just shading, making things darker. But I like watching it in this like almost real-time format, this long, sped up but very long format where I could still see how I did it. How did this blank piece of paper turn into this? Okay, well, let's watch and see, you know. You could still see every step that I do. So I'm going to add value to the lips. You know, just going to shade it in. Nothing special. It's the same thing I did with the glasses, same thing I did, you know, with the other shadows. It's not like you have to know how to draw a lip to shade a lip. I'm just shaded it. And sometimes when I shade over, I lose some of the lines I drew. So that's why I'm kind of going over with some of the lines again. And the other cool thing you'll see right now, if you look closely, you can see that all the shading, it's very rough. You can almost see the individual lines of the pencil. You know, if you look where the glasses are, you look on the forehead, you could see those lines. What I'm going to do coming up is I'm going to smudge them. I take some tissue paper and I just start rubbing it into the paper. And when I start doing that, all of a sudden it really comes to life. All those individual lines of shading go away and they start blending together and they start looking like a real skin. Right now it doesn't look like real skin. Right now it looks like just like an Instagram filter, you know. It just looks like a drawing. But when you start rubbing it in with some tissue, it takes it to that next step, and all of a sudden it starts looking really, really cool. So I'm just laying down rough shading again. I know that side of the face is going to be darker. I know I'm shading right there. And by shading right there, look what it's doing to the mouth. It's bringing the mouth forward. That lip, this part of the lip, look how forward it looks because I shaded right here. I shaded around it. The darker you make something, the more the lighter stuff comes forward. So if you want the mouth to come forward, you shade around the mouth. And now all of a sudden the mouth has an illusion that it's more forward facing. Those are like little secrets, little techniques I've learned in drawing of how to give it form. Whatever you darken, you're pushing it back. And by pushing something back, what are you doing? All the stuff that is not shadow stays forward. See, the nose actually looks a little, starting to look a little more forward. Here I am, actually, I'm going to point out, I'm drawing on the nose another shadow for the glasses that I noticed. I didn't notice it the first time, but now that I was shading and I was looking at the picture, I noticed right on the bridge of the nose, there's a shadow, and I completely missed it. But by adding that in there, it gives more illusion of the glasses sitting on the face. So now I think I feel like I'm pretty good with the shading on the face, and I'm going to start working, you know, lower. So I'm just going to start adding some shading here into the neck. And I want to say I make the neck a little bit darker. Why? Exactly what I just said, because the more you darken something, the lighter stuff comes out. And so because I want the face to be in front, the neck is going to be a little darker than the face. So, it, you know, because it sits behind the face. So you'll see the shadows of on the neck are darker than the shadows of the face. You know, just compare the cheek, look at her cheek and look at her chin, and then look at her neck, and you're going to see the neck is darker because the head is in front, the neck is behind. It's such a cool, once I learned that concept of what shading can do, what darker values do to the overall picture, it completely changed the way I drew things. My drawings used to be really kind of flat and one-dimensional, and once I really started learning what the shading does, why, you know, why is it dark? What does the darkness represent? You know, you add darkness to bring other things forward and to push things in the background. And that's, once I learned that, it was like I was able to make things look more three-dimensional. So again, this is still that same first pass, right? I'm still just, now I'm kind of just going through the hair and going, where's some of the dark spots? You know, I'm not adding it, I'm not trying to make it more darker than the eyes or more dark than the lips. This is just the first pass. It's like a layer, you know, it's like a layer of an onion. You're just laying layers on top of layers and building on top of what you did before. And that's what really gives a drawing it's realism, or yeah, I guess it's realism. Now, my style of drawing, I don't try and make it look like an actual photograph. I don't want you to look at my pictures and go, oh my God, I can't even tell that's a drawing. Like, I want you to tell it's a drawing, but I want it to look realistic. You know what I mean? That's kind of my style. I don't use any rulers, measurements, graphs, tracing. I want to see how good can my brain reproduce what I'm looking at. That's my challenge. Every time I draw, that's my challenge. I'm looking at a picture. How good can I reproduce that picture onto this blank piece of paper without any measuring? And so that's the challenge for me, and where the satisfaction comes in. So you can tell by the face, I'm just about done with the first pass of shading. I'm kind of moving down to these other areas of the drawing because I'm liking the way the face looks. I haven't rubbed it in yet with the tissue. We're going to do that pretty soon. But, you know, if I don't want to leave the clothing unfinished, because I almost want to get it over with, just kind of get the clothing part done so I can move on to just the fun facial stuff. And I remember thinking here, like, you know, there's a lot of different wrinkles and stuff in her clothes. I'm trying to represent that as best as I can. But again, I'm not putting too much focus here. I'm just kind of throwing something down. And I remember thinking to myself too, like, you know, this isn't going to be a big deal. Excuse me. And you'll see coming up, well, right here I'm working on the zipper, so I'm just doing little lines. I don't even know why I did it. I didn't even really draw the zipper. I just kind of added some texture to it. So here I'm going to mark in the clothing, and usually what I do with the clothing, I'm going up and down, up and down, up and down, and then I will switch to horizontal, and then I'll do like diagonal. And it almost gives it like a clothing texture. See here, I'm going diagonal now. So I'm diagonally going over the vertical, and I think I even do horizontal. Or, well, now I'm cross hatching it the other way. So I went diagonal this way, and I went up and down. And when you do that, it'll give a cool texture look. Now here I'm using the tissue, and look what's happening. It's taking away all those individual lines, and it's blending it all together. And this is when it starts really looking like skin, you know, skin that has tone and value to it. I'm not going over the eyes because I don't want to smear the eyes. I'm trying to just go over, you know, the skin part. If I went over the eyes, it would completely knock it back down. And I've done that in some of my other drawings. I didn't do that here, and I'm glad I didn't. It's almost like I learned something. So I'm not going to try and knock down the eyes anymore. Now, because I just knocked everything down, see, like, look at the neck, how it's a lot smoother now. You know, it doesn't have lines on it. Now this is my second pass. I've knocked it down. Now I'm going to go over and make some of the darker spots darker. And that's going to give more three-dimensional look to it. See, and I'm just going over, making the glasses now darker. And the other cool thing you'll see what I'm trying to do here is her glasses have that, what's that called? Turtle shell? It's a turtle shell style where it's not all one solid color. It's got like it's like broken up. So you can see like on the bottom rim of the glasses, it's not one solid black line. So it almost looks like this turtle shell effect on the glasses, which I thought was really kind of cool. And that's what I'm doing here. I'm looking at the picture. I'm going, where is it darker on the glasses? Where is it lighter? And I'm basically I'm coloring. I'm just, where it's dark, I'm putting darkness, and where it's light, I'm leaving it alone or lightly going over it. I remember thinking here, like, don't make the glasses too dark. You know, I didn't want to make it too dark and then have the glasses like really just stand out. So I'm constantly taking a step back. I'm looking at the overall picture. I'm seeing, am I staying the same darkness, the same shade from one area to another? You know, you don't want to go super crazy with it. But see, look at how the glasses now are starting to look three-dimensional, how they look like they're sitting on top of the nose just by making them darker because of those shadows and stuff, like that one shadow that's underneath by her left nostril. It makes it look like the glasses are just sitting there. And that was all completely unintentional. I didn't even notice shadows were there. It wasn't until I started really kind of just blocking in the drawing that I was like, oh wow. You know, so you just notice little things. The more you shade, the more you notice stuff that needs shading. So here, I'm not doing lines, I'm just doing shading. You know, you don't want to draw like hard lines on the face. Something has a line, just try and lightly shade it in. You know, here's the other, look at the other nostril. Now I'm bringing the other nostril into focus, so it is going to match. And that's going to make the nose look even more real because, again, the darkness of the nostrils means they go further back. The dark means you're backing, you know, it's going back. So since it goes way back into the head, that's the darkest part. but because the nose is lighter, now the nose looks like it's more forward. So I'm lightly going through, I'm just lightly seeing, you know, where the shading is, and I'm kind of going over it again. You know, it's kind of self-explanatory. I don't mean to be repetitive or tell you guys things that, you know, I don't want you to go, yeah, dummy, I know you're shading, I can see you doing it. But I can't help but kind of talk over it, you know, trying to explain what I was thinking. I had a quick cut there. It looked like my battery had run out of my camera. So that's the other thing, is when I film these videos, I have a very small memory card. And so I only can film maybe an hour at a time. Then I got to stop it, take off the footage, put it on my computer, format and delete my memory card, put it back in the camera, come back, start drawing again. But in a way, it's good because it gives me a break. It lets me get up, take a break, come back, look at the drawing, see where I need to improve. You know, it's important to take breaks so you can give your brain a rest. And so that kind of helps my brain rest. Now, all of this, everything you're seeing right here, this is all like second and third pass stuff. It's me stepping over the drawing again, deciding, oh, okay, I want the eyes darker. Now, I'm not adding anything new. I'm not adding new lines. All I'm adding is different degrees of shading. Now, notice that side, that far side of the face, it's almost completely white. I never laid anything down on it because I knew that's where the sun was hitting. So I just left it white, and it's giving that illusion that like there's light hitting her in the face. So I'm slowly stepping through. See, I just went from the chin up to the hair. Why? I have no idea. But my brain just said, let's start working on that aspect. Let's start adding, you know, some of the darker stuff to the hair. And for me, one of the things I do when it comes to drawing is I also look at what are the darkest darks and what are the lightest lights. And I try and look for those shapes. Look for dark shapes and look for light shapes. And if you're having trouble looking, you know, I don't know where to shade. Where is it shaded? Well, don't try and look for shading. Look for the opposite of shading. Look at your picture and go, where is it really? Where is there no shading? And find those shapes. And when you find where there's no shading, then you know where to shade. It's like thinking the opposite. That was a big thing for me too. A little tip that I learned is when it comes to shading, if you have trouble shading or you're not sure where to shade, look for where not to shade. Do the opposite. Where is there no shading? And when you start, sometimes it's easier to see the brighter stuff than the darker stuff. And when you see the brighter stuff, why is it brighter? Because there's no shading there. So then you go, okay, there's no shading here. Let me shade around it. So that was a little tip that helped me out. Adding a little value under the chin, it's going to make the face come forward a little bit because you're putting darkness around this part, so it's bringing the rest forward. I'm making that part of the neck darker than the cheek. Again, look at the neck, look at her neck, and then look at like the face and see how dark it is. And I'm doing that for a reason, because I'm making the face come forward. And just, you can tell just by looking right here, it looks like she's standing in the sun and her face is getting hit with the sun where the neck isn't. And that's all just from shading. It's just from adding darker values. So I'm kind of laying the line, the little wrinkle lines of the neck right there. I remember thinking right here, like, do I have to do the clothes? So boring. So boring. But sometimes, you know, you get what you put in, you get out of your drawing, what you put into your drawing. So sometimes I tell myself, just focus. You're not in a hurry. Just relax. Drawing should be a relaxing process. And sometimes you do that, and then all of a sudden, those little things, those little details that you do start coming forward. All right, so I'm going to add a little darkness around here. Again, this is going to move the neck forward a little bit because I'm putting darkness around it. Yeah, I like the way the lips turned out. You can see I shaded just the one half because I knew that's the half away from the light. So it's a little, you could notice it's a little bit darker there, not really dark on the other side where the sun is. And it just adds to the illusion. So I'm giving her hair a little bit of shading. I had trouble a little bit with the hair because her hair, if you notice, it's real wispy. And so I wanted to create that wispy look, but I didn't want it to look like it was unfinished either. So that was sort of a challenge for me, is to make her hair, you know, look like hair and not look like an unfinished drawing. But it was hard because she has blonde hair and she's standing in the sun. Well, how do you convey that? So that was a challenge for me too. I think I pulled it off. At least I'm happy with how it turned out. So still give the illusion that she has hair and that it's blonde and not, you know, just an unfinished drawing. I think pretty soon I'm going to pull out some I'm going to start pulling out some highlights. So again, I'm looking at what isn't in shadow. And on the drawing, there's these spots, you know, like on the eye, on the forehead, you know, that don't have any sunlight. And see, sometimes I'll do that. I'll shade and then I'll erase. And that helps really bring out the highlight part. So I'm just kind of stepping through the picture, noticing where the sun is hitting. That's my kneaded eraser. Hit on the neck a little bit, so you'll see I'm just erasing little things here and there. I always have a little trouble with the hair for some reason, but that's why you'll see me keep kind of jumping back to it. And with hair, I mentioned it before, I think earlier in this video, but like I'll look for the dark spots of the hair and just kind of draw the flow of the hair in. Oh, here's what I'm doing. So I wanted to create like the impression that hair was flying across her face. So I made these erase marks, but then it looked like it was unfinished. So then I'm going to add a little line to it to make it look like hair and not just like an accidental eraser on the face. See on the nose, just by those little marks, those little eraser marks, it makes it look like the sun's really highlighting it. It just adds so much to it. And then the side of the glasses, well, my big fat head's in the way, but I just erased right there on the rim of the glasses, and now it looks like that's being reflected too. It was like all these cool little things that I was just like, oh wow, it's really coming to life. It's really making it look realistic. And at this point, I want to say I'm almost done. Let's see. Yeah, there's about 5 minutes left of this sped up version. But at this point, you could tell it's almost done. I'm just thinking to myself, what finishing touches can I add? You know, so I'm kind of looking, are my lines clean? You know, are my, you know, the glasses, are they, you know, are they defined? You know, let me just clean up the line a little bit. And so actually right there, that pencil I'm using, it's this pencil. It's a 4H. You probably won't be able to see it. It's a 4H, which is a hard pencil. It's really good for like just fine lines. And I'll use that sometimes at the very end just to touch up some things. So I'm just touching up the glasses. At this point, I'm pretty much done with a lot of the shading. I'm thinking in my head, what else could I do? You know, are there any spots I missed? You can see it's pretty much done. So yeah, I'm just hitting some of the little spots, you know, like I might hit the ears again too, just to make sure that they didn't get lost in the hair. Again, there I am focusing on the hair. But yeah, I mean, I like the way that turned out. So there I'm trying to draw a little line underneath that erased thing of the hair so it looks like hair. If I didn't have that little line, if I just had an eraser mark, it looks unfinished. But I do this little tiny line, and now all of a sudden it looks like hair with a shadow on it. All right, so again, last minute stuff. I'm noticing what could have been a little darker. I know I'm wrapping it up. I'm thinking in my head to myself about you know, how much more could I possibly do. Not sure when to call it finished or not. So yeah, these are just finishing touches, you know. I probably could have stopped the video, you know, 5 minutes ago, but you know, when you get this far, sometimes you just sit back, you stare at it, squint your eyes, see if anything stands out. You know, I want to make sure her cheek was red, so I'm kind of adding more shading there to just give it a little more fullness of the cheek. Last minute going over the eyes, you know. I always kind of do the eye. I always kind of touch up the eyes at the end just to make sure that they pop, you know, that they really look like they're looking back at you, you know. So yeah, all this stuff, you'll see I'm jumping all over the place because, like I said, technically the drawing's done. It's just me noticing things, you know. Okay, let me work on the eyebrow. Okay, let me jump over here to the glasses, you know. I'm moving around like a clock. I'm just looking at the drawing, you know. Here I'm down at the the hair again. Excuse me. But yeah, it's I really like the way this turned out. If you guys did too, please leave me a comment and let me know. Yeah, I knew I was gonna hit the ear again. Just kind of hitting last minute, getting the ear. Hitting the dark spots. You'll notice around the ear and right by the hair, it's really dark. So I kind of just hit that hard. I'll hit the inside of the nostril really hard. Really make that look deep, like it's set inside the head. Yep, just last minute shading. So yeah, I'm sorry, I'm like engrossed in it. I'm like totally watching and not even talking. So it looks like there's 1 minute left before this drawing's finished. And again, I'm just looking at the drawing. I'm squinting at it. You can't see it obviously because I wasn't filming myself drawing it, my face while I was drawing it. But I'm squinting. I'm looking at the picture. I'm trying to see, is something not standing out? Just jumping all over the place. Last minute touch-ups. You know, but look at, I mean, the glasses, they look like they're sitting on the face. The eyes look like they're really behind the glasses, you know, like staring back through glass, looking at you. And yeah, I want to say that's probably it. You know, just erasing some of the smudges that I got around it, and then you're going to see I'm going to sign my name here. I'm going to date it. I want to say it's October 6th. So that's it. I'll put a picture of the finished drawing up here on the camera. Let me know, again, I mentioned at the beginning of this video, do you like this thing that I just did? Do you like the fast forward version of a long drawing? Do you not like it? If you don't like it, let me know that too. I really want to know, because my channel is going to be focusing a lot on drawing, and I want to make it informative for you guys. I want to make it entertaining for you guys. I don't want you to be bored. So do you like me talking over my drawing like I just did, or do you prefer me drawing and in real time telling you what I'm doing while I'm doing it, like some of my other videos? Those could be like 3 or 4 hours long, but I'll be talking while I'm drawing. So I want to know what is the best format for you. Let me know. If you like this, give me a thumbs up. Hit thumbs up on that video. Subscribe to my channel. Share this on your own stuff. You know, favorite these videos and let other people see it. It really helps me out. Gives me motivation to keep going and keep drawing and improving. And the more I improve, the more I want to share this stuff with you guys and impart my knowledge to you guys. So that being said, I'm going to end this video now. I appreciate it. Check out some of the other videos that I have. Hit that picture of me